Big day of racing at Woodbine Saturday afternoon. Let's take a look at the 8th race. It's another graded stakes race. The Grade 2 Dance Smartly for fillies and mares going 1.25 miles on the turf course. Before we dive into the field, head on over to bets.drf.com. Take a look at the latest and greatest as far as offers are concerned for DRF Bets members. Let's take a look at the field of fillies and mares that will be traveling the 10 furlong distance on the grass. Holy Helena, she's a big name. We know what she's capable of on her best day. She's the 9-5 favorite. Nipping at her heels, the number 4 Starship Jubilee. 2-1 on the morning line. These are two accomplished fillies that have done good work up north of the border at Woodbine in the past. So much of these races really just boils down to not just class, and we know that they are arguably, if not outright, the class of the field, but the pace situation and the Timeform US pace projector. Let's take a look at that. You can see that Starship Jubilee pretty clear on the front end here, and she's always dangerous when you allow her to get out to a position like that. The most recent run, I didn't think was a bad one. I thought she got run down by a really nice filly in Secret Message for Grand Motion. It was over-yielding turf. We know she can basically run on anything, yielding, firm, whatever the case may be. Starship Jubilee can run on it. Second off the bench, I should say, I think she's going to end up running well enough in a spot like this. I guess I'm just not terrified of her at a short number, even with this pace advantage that she has. And really, the big thing for me is the distance. I think she happens to be much better off at those shorter distances. You know, you look at a race like the E.P. Taylor last year, where she's out there setting slow fractions at 1.25 miles, and she just can't quite get the job done. Well, I don't know that we're going to have an entirely different scenario this time around. I think she's best at 8.5 furlongs, as opposed to stretching out to 10. As far as Holy Helena is concerned, this distance isn't an issue for her. I just wonder, are we at a point in time where she's a little bit vulnerable? I know she's 7 of 17 lifetime. Jimmy Jerkins does great work, no question about it. 5 other times in the money from 17 lifetime starts. But I just look at her and go, okay, you know, she's good. She can certainly win this race, don't get me wrong. But at a short number, there's nothing really that she has no real discernible advantage on this field, in my opinion anyway. Her numbers stack up favorably, sure. She has a number of races. She's relatively consistent. I just don't think that she's a monster in a spot like this. And if I don't like her and I don't like Starship Jubilee, that leads me searching a little bit, looking for some other horses that perhaps you want to take a look at. One of the horses I think most people will consider an alternative to the top two, understandably so, is the number 8, Rock My Love. Now, Rock My Love is a first-time starter here in the United States. I shouldn't say United States. We're running in Canada. First time in North America. She goes out for trainer Jonathan Thomas. We know Jonathan Thomas does tremendous work. You have a nice positive formulator fact here for Thomas's runners and this mare, Rock My Love, or she's a filly. Past 5 years, turf first after the trainer switch, 7 for 25, 16 in the money, 222 ROI. You'll note the Lasix go on for the first time. This is a filly that was a Group 3 winner as a 2-year-old in Germany. She was Group 2 placed in France last year as a 3-year-old. Now she comes here, first start off of a considerable layoff. Haven't seen her since the beginning of October. Last year, she ran in a Group 2 over at Longchamp, was no match for anyone in that spot. You come here, you get the firm, hopefully firm going. We'll find out. Take a look at the weather forecast. Always be on your toes there. The big thing is, for me, the run 2 starts back. When she finished second in that Group 2, I know it was only a field of 7. But the 109 time form rating that she earned that day. Usually when we see these horses come over here from Europe, they end up taking some sort of a step forward, especially after they've had a length of time here getting acclimated to things. And you add Lasix in, I think she's going to move up by at least 5, if not closer to 10 points on the time form scale. If she comes through and earns a 119 or a 120 time form US rating, she is right there at the wire. Flavien Prat takes them out 7-2 on the morning line for Rock My Love. If you're looking for some alternatives, we can rip through the rest of this field rather quickly. The 2, Art of Almost. You know, Roger Atfield, you always have to respect anything he sends out, especially up at Woodbine. But what it boils down to, this is a filly that at this point, sure, she has won back-to-back races after breaking her maiden 2 starts back. Both of those races came on synth. I haven't been blown away by any of her work on turf. She ran at Keeneland twice. I didn't love either of those, even though she was only defeated by 3/4 of a length in that run 4 starts back. I'm just not sold on her chances at 20-1 in the spot. The 3, Empress of the Nile, is a horse that has earned some competitive figures throughout her career. She is a stakes place mare. She did so at 1 mile and 3/8, so you know that this 1.25 mile distance is an issue for her. The blinkers come off. She hasn't run with blinkers off since the end of her 2-year-old campaign. That was at Aqueduct back in 2016. That was on the main track. Who knows? She's a little bit of an intriguing one. She goes out for Grand Motion for the first time here. Drayden Van Dyke has the mount. She's not for me, But if you're looking for an intriguing sort of outsider, maybe it's this one here. We already touched on Starship Jubilee. Get Explicit the 5 for Barb Minshall. Stretching out in distance a little bit. First time they'll try a 1.25 miles with her. They tried her at a 1.5 miles back in August of last year, and she didn't run poorly. She was defeated by Daring Duchess, but she did pretty well. Finished second in a field of 7, earned an 86 Beyer speed figure. That stacks up favorably, or at least competitively in this field. I don't know that she's fast enough or good enough to win, but maybe she's one you could use underneath at 10-1 on the morning line. The 6 Carta Bianca goes out for Roger Ratfield. Distance for me with this one is going to be to her benefit. I think the 1.25 miles is going to only be something that she appreciates, and I understand when she was over in Europe, for the most part, they campaigned her at those shorter distances, flat mile, 1.1/16, those sort of races. Keep in mind, those runs are generally more testing than our miles and whatnot. So a horse that runs in a mile or those shorter middle distance races in Europe, they can usually see out something closer to a 1.125, 1.3/16, maybe a 1.25 over here. She hasn't done much in the 2 starts here in North America. I want to give her another chance, though, maybe underneath at a big price. Alan Garcia has the mount. And the last one to touch on is Lift Up the 7 for Michael Dickinson. She's another one that's done some good work throughout her career. The turf record is impeccable, 5 for 7 overall. The problem is it just doesn't seem like she is improving. It feels like she lives in the mid to high 80 Beyer range. And simply put, that's not fast enough to win in a race like this. She could jump forward, but 6-1 seems a little bit light for me. So if I don't like the 2 favorites in here, where am I going to go? Take a look at the pick. I'm going with the outsider, the fresh face, Rock My Love for Jonathan Thomas. And really it is. It just boils down to I respect the 2 favorites. I respect Starship Jubilee and Holy Helena. I'd be using both of them in multi-race wagers. But Rock My Love, she's a fresh face. I don't think she's that far behind. And if she takes any sort of a step forward here in her first start as a 4-year-old, first start in North America, I think she's going to be interesting. And arguably at a playable price in that 3.5-1 or 4-1 range. 8-1-4 for me in the 8th. At Woodbine on Saturday afternoon. The Grade 2 Dance Smartly, 1.25 miles on the grass. Again, if you're playing this race, any of the races at Woodbine on Queen's Plate Saturday, DRF Bets is the way to do it. Head on over to bets.drf.com for all the details. Schedule post time for the Grade 2 Dance Smartly race 8 at Woodbine on Saturday afternoon, 4:18 Eastern. Good luck.